Yes, Cora is going to ask Cora Strandberg is going to ask a very brief question.
Great. I've got a question for you, Paul.
You can only come on. You can only come on when I give you permission. All right? Stop there.
Cora
And then-
Strandberg on this. My question for you, Paul. Sorry.
Stop there now. Okay. These people are then going to finish with a simple sentence. Right? Optimistic, pessimistic that by 2030 we can be well down the track in terms of low carbon economy, with cities that work with a little bit more access with some of the big pots of cash in the global south. And I want a sentence from each of you to finish. Cora, over to you.
So I was trying to add up all your numbers. We were about 100 trillion or so. You've got a lot in principles for responsible investments. You've got a lot in carbon disclosure project.
This is a real question for me.
Yes, it is. So what's the next step? We've reached a certain critical mass. And has it stalled out? What's the next step to go to the next point of leverage so we can really scale up beyond about the 20 trillion or so we have that's oriented around carbon today? What's the next institutional critical step to drive performance from here?
Okay, so those $20 trillion of institutional investment funds that are committed to responsible investment, there's a very simple thing, okay? That the actual products in the marketplace that will allow the large institutional investors, the pension funds, the sovereign wealth funds, to move their money into this space, whether it's clean or green or responsible property, the products with track record that allow large institutional investors to shift the money are not in place. There are very limited fixed income products that would allow big pension funds to put their money into this space. So there has to be product evolution in the investment world, I would say. I mean, there's lots of different things, but one of my obsessions at the moment is that the product in the marketplace with track record that allows big conservative institutions to say, I want a little bit of that in my asset allocation, it's not there. We've got a very exciting 5 years, because I think large parts of the finance and investment world, whatever happens in the policy space on carbon and climate change, the smart money gets it that we are heading towards a low carbon future. There is money to be made. There is a dynamic there. And that at some point in the next 3, 4, 5 years, you'll see institutional investors feeding some of their money into a market which has the products, which has the funds, which has the architecture to accept the money. So I think, a lot of the ducks are lined up. There's big policy pieces missing, but the smart money gets it that the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we're moving towards low carbon. And you know what? The industries of the future are the biggest investment play of this century, and that's exciting. It's the upside, it's not the risk side. That would be my answer. Sandra, pessimistic, optimistic, neutral? Are we? I mean, is it going to be a really duffed shot off the tee and it trickles 20 yards and goes into a bunker? Or are you on the green? Where are you?
Optimistic about the opportunities for innovation. If there is as there is a growing movement towards a low carbon economy, I think the opportunities for entrepreneurs and companies to be innovative are very exciting. Pessimistic that there is still foot dragging in some sectors and in some governments that we're still going to get there, but it may be a lot slower than some of us would have liked.
Michael.
I'm optimistic, but I'm going to switch from the large institutions and pick up something that Sandra said earlier about behavioral change. And it comes down to personal responsibility and accountability. We're all investors, we're all consumers, and the way we spend and invest money sends a very powerful message to the markets. It's up to us to send the message that environment and social issues matter. And because we all have investment savings, many of us are members of pension plans, whether we all buy products. That's what's going to change it, and that's where we need to go.
Bruce?
Let's see, 2 things. I'd say I'm optimistic on a fairly long time horizon, given we're talking about systemic change and not just physical systemic change, but the institutions, the numerous institutions and behaviors and other things that need to sort of align for this to happen. And then I'd say, echoing Sandra's comments, I'm really optimistic on the innovation front. And I'll just give a really quick example. You can see how some of the technologies are mutually reinforcing. If you think about the holy grail for efficiency is using a future stream of cost savings that we're certain about to underwrite the financing. And what better to do that than a smart grid that could tell you, house by house, the change that you're making is actually delivering the energy savings that the investment has promised. So I do see some really nice mutually reinforcing opportunities out there, but a lot of work to get there.
And to get to the smart grid, where they're guessing 500 billion in energy infrastructure standard, plus another 500 billion, that's $1 trillion a year for the next 30 years. So there's a job to be done. Barbara.
Optimistic. When I think of 5 years ago, we wouldn't have been here in this room having this discussion. So when I look at how far we've come in 5 years as an insurance industry and as a financial services industry, I think there's a lot of hope. I would think in 5 years from now, it would be a very different discussion in this room. My concern or my caution is, like Sandra and the rest of the group have said, are we going to be moving fast enough? And that's the million-dollar question.
Let's wrap it up like this, because we're over time. In 5 years' time, Michael Janci will be ultra high net worth. We know that. That's clear. As will the speculative carbon offset man there. He'll be high net worth. The Man United fan will have his team in the 3rd division. Whereas Liverpool will have won the championship for the next 4 years after this one. Oh, yeah. All right. Listen, audience, we're closing down. Stand up if you're optimistic. Nice. Okay, sit down. Stand up if you're pessimistic. Stay standing. That's good. All right. Listen, we have got Sandra from RBC. We've got Barbara from the Cooperators, Bruce from Citigroup, and Michael Janci from Janci Sustainalytics. Brilliant panel. Thank you very much. Let's wrap it up.